Yes, over the last couple of days, power had been put back on for the majority of homes in Kherson, and people there were feeling a great sense of release about that, even as Russian attacks continued. But it seems that Russian attacks overnight have taken the power lines down again, and the city is once again facing a total blackout, and also continuing damage to homes and casualties among the civilians. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov today actually admitted what the Russians were doing, which the Ukrainians have been characterizing as revenge attacks after they took back that city from under Russian occupation on the 11th of November. Sergei Lavrov compared Kherson to Stalingrad, which was a Russian city occupied by Nazi Germany, and pointed out that the Russians had bombed Stalingrad heavily, even though they considered it to be their own city. According to him, Russia considers Kherson now to be its city and is bombing it in order to try to persuade the Ukrainians to leave. So a grim outlook there. Doesn't look like there's much sign of a let-up. And also in other electricity blackout news, the whole of Ukraine has been bracing for a fresh wave of strikes, and just now the sirens rang out in Kiev. So perhaps that's going to be that new wave beginning now. Of course, we don't know. The Ukrainians say that they've seen lots of indications that the Russians are preparing for another big wave of strikes. Alarms are ringing. This is the second time, though, in the last couple of days that they've rung out, and the first time actually no attacks transpired.
And in the meantime, we understand there's been some pretty intense fighting in the east, Gulliver.
Absolutely. Fighting in the east is really going on all the time, with this constant Russian barrage of artillery bombardment of and around the town of Bakhmut, this third biggest Ukrainian-held town in Donetsk region, which they are trying to take control of, along also with Avdiivka, which is essentially a suburb of the Russian-held stronghold of Donetsk, formerly the capital of Donetsk region. Avdiivka has always been in Ukrainian hands, and amazingly, really, given its very close proximity to Donetsk city itself, still is, but it's suffering very, very sustained attacks from the Russians, with the Ukrainians taking heavy casualties both around Avdiivka and around Bakhmut. That's the only place where the Ukrainians are on the defensive, though, really. In other parts of the front line, it's more a story of Ukrainian counteroffensives ongoing as they try to push into Luhansk region, that other main region that makes up the Donbass, where the Ukrainians now control a sliver of land in the west of that region and are trying to move towards Svatove, which would be for them the first sort of major-ish town in Luhansk region that they might retake from under Russian occupation. But it's probably some way off yet. For the moment, Svatove is still very much Russian-controlled.